tuned for another episode of the Coming Soon podcast with Spider.
Hello, everybody. Spider here, Working Class Nobody Zine. Of course, coming to you from Texas. My guest, not in Texas. Of course, you guys are all the way out there in the UK. So thank you for joining me this evening. Go ahead and introduce yourself. I know you have your names up there, but I want to know what instruments you guys play as well, from the top down.
I guess I'll go first.
Yes.
I am Charles Alucard Montague, and I play guitar, and I'm also a vocalist. Who wants to go next?
I'm Ingrid. I'm Dill, aka Ingrid, and I play the drums.
I'm Xavier. I'm the lead vocalist.
I'm Dizzy and I play bass.
And of course, I appreciate you guys jumping on here. I mean, like I mentioned, I am in Texas. You guys are UK based. I mean, when it comes to exactly where you guys are from, is everybody from Kent? Because I keep seeing that on your page.
Yeah, we're all based in.
I'm not.
Three of us are based in Kent.
There you go. And let me ask you this, because I've had other interviews on here, and for the most part, I mean, in Texas, I'm in San Antonio. I'm right central. So for me to get out of the state, it takes me about 8 hours either way. So England, I mean, when it comes to the UK, I mean, how long would it take for you to get from one side of the UK to the other?
Probably about 8 hours.
But I feel like probably a day, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
It really depends on what way you go, though, because if you go up, it'll take longer. If you go across the Lake Cornwall, which is technically the other side, it won't take like 8 hours.
And how?
Car. In car terms.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and the reason I'm asking is because, of course, you guys have been playing. I mean, you know, you haven't played outside of the UK as of yet. But when it comes to traveling, I mean, is that an option? I mean, are you guys looking for next year maybe travel outside the country, or as far as Europe?
That would be great.
That would be good. Yeah, it would take a bit of planning, I feel, but it's possible. It's
I
possible.
wouldn't say that.
Yeah, a lot of funding, you know,
A lot of money saving.
Oh, yeah.
money,
And
money,
planning.
you know.
And of course, let me ask you, because this is one of the things I was talking to the guys earlier. When it comes to the band, I mean, what band were you guys involved in before you got together, if any? We'll start with.
Do you have a couple of days?
Oh, yeah.
We'll put it in a book.
I mean, before currently.
As far as before you guys got together for Vampyra, I mean, the last band you were in.
Okay, well, we actually started like in the middle of the pandemic. Near the beginning, you know, back around the time where it was when the the lockdown was being slightly alleviated. Is that correct? Word I'm looking for? I don't know.
That sounds correct.
It sounds correct, but that doesn't mean it's correct.
That's
You know,
that's
and we were able to.
Yeah, that's when we started like jamming and sort of getting things going, at least during the pandemic. The conception of it was slightly before it.
Right.
It was the only thing that stopped it going until it going from then was the pandemic itself. It was like, yeah, just got this together, and then pandemic. Oh, dang it.
Well, let me say this, because I am in San Antonio. When everything happened, it actually happened here in San Antonio. It happened at the military base behind me, and that was where they had brought the people from Florida, I believe. They were tested. They said they tested negative. They were at the shopping mall that day. That evening, they put it out there, and they're like, you know what? They're positive. They're looking for them, and they find them, and so they started closing everything. Like the mall closed. After that, it's like when the whole city, the whole world, basically started shutting down. But it was a rough time. I mean, of course, with you guys playing, I mean, did you guys stay in touch, of course, through social media? Were you guys trying to just maybe chat and stay live and play live?
Yeah, we stayed in touch via social media. We had to wait until the lockdown rules were eased a little before we could even get rehearsing and actually even meeting up, let alone do gigs and stuff. So it was quite a long waiting period, but
No.
it was worth it.
And of course, I mean, you guys did wait, right? I mean, y'all didn't do the opposite and sneak out and go play somewhere, right?
It took like a year and a half before our first gig, didn't it?
It did,
like
yeah.
2021, like exactly 2 years ago. And because when we played a local gig, our local venue here, we've got one called Poco Loco, and we played there about a month ago, and only afterwards did we realize it was almost exactly a year after our first gig at the same venue.
Yeah,
so 2 years.
That was quite something. That was. I only realised it.
How did you guys find out? Was it one of those Facebook memory type things that popped up, or what?
Yeah, you found out, didn't you?
Yeah. I just saw there was this picture of me saying, "Oh, it's my first gig, a new band," which was my first gig since the pandemic. So obviously I was quite excited about it because it's like, I haven't played for like nearly 3 years, you know.
Yeah.
And going back to what you were asking about previous bands, it did feel like it was all over basically, that we're never gonna play again, are we? It's like with any band. So it was good, like, you know, and it's like, you know, so much has changed in just the past 2 years since that first gig, and it's like, you know, the pandemic, it just feels like such a distant memory now, and it's like,
hopefully it stays that way.
It felt a bit.
Please.
It felt a bit long for me in terms of that gap from the first gig with Vampyra to before that. So even before the pandemic, I was a bit bandless myself, really. The last band I was in before Vampyra was a band called Animal Race, which were like we're sort of like an art. We call it art punk, which is like very weird punk. It's a bit difficult to describe it. It's just you go from anything to just playing something simple and listenable to something that's complete noise. That's what it was in a nutshell. And yeah, you can actually still find a couple of our tracks on Spotify, funnily enough. But unfortunately that band, the hype for it just went down really for it and stuff. It just wasn't really getting anywhere. And so that was pretty much it. That band sort of closed itself, so to speak, and next thing you know, I'm suddenly like, let's form Vampyra, you know.
No, for sure. And the reason I'm asking, and Dizzy, I mean, was there a band before I go to the next question as far as
this is the first proper like band where I've played live that hasn't been, like, I did music performance in college, so I had to perform live with different people all the time. So I've been in bands, but it's been more never left the studio. People come and go 24/7. You can't get a solid lineup for more than a week. There was one I was in for a long time where we only ever did one song and it never came out. But other than that, I just pretty much did open mics and just sang out local gigs, and that's how I found these.
No, and the reason I'm asking that, I mean, for the most part, is because everybody is somewhat local. So did you guys kind of know each other through the scene and decided to one day just kind of like, hey, you know what, let's form something or start a new project?
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
I
actually remember. Yeah. But both will, because what I want to say is I actually knew Ingrid long before Vampyra. We actually met at one. You remember, don't you? I think it was like we actually met.
Has been unfortunately been demolished since.
Yeah, it's a bunch of now.
But basically, I wasn't. So we're in Medway, and I was actually living in London at the time, and and around the time that I started playing gigs around this area, I was still getting to know a little bit. Everybody else is local, you know, and so I was just getting to know the bands that I was playing in the two bands actually. I was playing with Imaginary Dreamers. I was playing drums for them, and they're London based. They're still going. Um, and then they introduced me to a band called Luna Lacuna, and they're also still going. And I played bass with them for a while, and we played at the Beacons Court, which is where I met you in the flesh for the first time, Callum.
Yeah, yeah.
Both bands were playing that gig, and
I think I was
yeah,
in.
and it was during these gigs that I met my partner, and when I needed to move out, I ended up moving here, and I've been stuck here ever since. And
You say that like it's a bad thing.
is it a bad thing?
Sometimes.
Depends on how you look at it.
I mean, you guys.
I mean, I haven't.
Is it a bad thing?
Yeah.
But
I miss the glitz of, you know, the glamour.
but yeah, that's kind of how me and Ingrid met, at least. I mean, we didn't jam throughout that time we knew each other because, you know, we were in separate bands at the time.
Right.
And the way she came into Vampyra was quite a last minute story, funny enough. It was like we had a rehearsal booked. It's like, I can make it, the bass player can make it, the singer can make it, but the drummer can't. God dang it. So I messaged you, didn't I? I was like, hey, do you want to come drum for us? And you said, yeah. And as I say,
because we tried to do a completely different project before that. So this whole revolving door of different musicians, like trying to pick and choose who works. But basically, Vampyra became a proper band around 2020. And that's when we were like, okay, this is the project we're going to focus on, and it's horror punk. And me and Callum, we've been the only consistent members since then, and we've had a revolving door of bass players and bass players and singers, and yeah. So and now how long have you been? Yeah, we found we found Xavier and Brooke, and it's been like what. Our first gig where we're together was about 2 months ago at the Dublin Castle in London.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It feels
I joined
2 or 3 months.
January, so
yeah, so it took a while, obviously, to get prepared and all that.
I joined like a month before. So
yeah.
when did I join? I was like,
Stevie, because Stevie was he joined shortly before you, Xavier, and
then he left.
And then we started recording. We started recording our album, and yeah, he left halfway through, and that's when we had to find a replacement. And then we got Brooke,
and then we ended up with Brooke over there.
And then and only then were we able to finally get a gig at the Dublin Castle, and yeah.
Memory serves me well how I met Xavier. It was, I think it was me and our singer before Xavier came in. We did a open mic. It was just us two. It was me on guitar and her on vocal, her singing, obviously. And at Poco Loco, funny enough, the venue Ingrid just mentioned.
Everything happens at Poco Loco around.
Yeah, every incident ever happens at Poco Loco.
But I remember, like, afterwards we went outside and Xavier came out. I was like, Xavier was there. I was like, you were awesome. And I think I gave you a free sticker, didn't I?
And let me ask you, because I mean, when it comes to Xavier and Dizzy, I mean, you guys joined. I think Ingrid, you were saying that you guys were going to record like in a month, or was it 2 months?
No, we started recording shortly after Xavier joined, and we've got about half of the album done now. And our previous bass player, Stevie, left. Unfortunately, he never got to do a gig with us. And then we sat, and then we got Brooke and Dizzy, and yeah. So we've been gigging. But unfortunately, we haven't had time to record any bass parts with Dizzy yet. But it will change very soon. Hopefully, it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah. As they say, good things come to those who wait.
We still got half an album to record before it's all finished. So yeah.
But of course, I mean, with you guys doing gigs now, I mean, they can go listen to Dizzy play live, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
no.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, she's the star of the show.
Oh,
She makes
yeah.
the rest of us look
pretty
bad.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. And of course, guys, I mean, when it comes to playing, I mean, have there been? I'm sure there's been plenty of bands you guys have played with, but is there one that stands out more than the rest? I mean, when it comes to individual, I mean, we'll
Oh
start with Ingrid.
yeah.
Me,
Yes, I
the
mean, is
bands
there a band? I'm sorry.
a band that stands out that I've been in.
No, that you've actually gotten to play with, like throughout your experience in music.
Oof, I don't know. I mean, I suppose I'd have to say Imaginary Dreamers is the band that I've gotten the most accomplished with. I mean, because I've actually, it's the first time I'd ever recorded drums in the studio, and we've done so many gigs. And but yeah, a lot of the other bands I've been in, it's like I've barely ever recorded with any of them, and a lot of them they didn't do that many gigs. Toxins was the first proper band I ever joined. Um, we got to do some recording on that. I was playing bass, so that was my first experience being in the studio. So just that's memorable for me for being my first proper band and the first band that I'd ever recorded with. Unfortunately, that we decided to call it a day around 2017, and even then, that was because we had this long period of inactivity, and then I was like, it was my 30th birthday. I had this big birthday gig, 5 bands, each one of them with me in it.
Oh my god.
Yes.
God.
Oh, a band.
And yeah, so I had this occasion where trying to figure out which bands to put on, and I was just turned to the guys in Toxin and I said, let's just play this one last gig and say it's over, and you know.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well,
so
unfortunately, but
at least it was.
and
Pardon?
no, I was gonna say, unfortunately, I mean, they called it a day, but of course, you guys wouldn't be here today, so that's kind of a good thing, you know. You guys got
Oh
to.
no, definitely.
Yeah.
I think if we want to talk about like cause and effect and all that, I think definitely I'd have to say what one of the musicians who probably caused all of the me to be here anyway is Kevin from Imaginary Dreamers. Um, I've known the guy since 2013, and basically it was the summer. I was bored, so I thought I want to join a band. Join another band because I'm not doing anything. So I just went and looked at ads. I found this band called Madame So. I played bass with them for a little while, and Kevin was the guitarist. Uh, I ended up leaving that band, but me and Kevin we kept in touch. And meanwhile, he started Imaginary Dreamers, um, and then they needed a drummer. He asked me, "Oh, okay, I'll play drums," and that's when he started to introduce me to all these bands from Kent, like Luna Lacuna, uh, Animal Race, all these other bands, Spider Bite, and then
Spider-Bite.
yes,
Mm.
we
That's
love
one.
Spider Bite.
We love Spider-Bite.
I've known that band. Yeah, that
I know
band's
that
Yeah.
one as
So
well.
that I'm not saying if it hadn't been for that ad that I answered all the way back in 2013, and for that one bandmate of mine, I wouldn't be in my current relationship because I wouldn't have met any of the people here in Kent,
No, for
So
sure.
yeah, I do. So
I
there you
think
go.
that in Spider Bite,
Getting
that's
pulled back.
one band I'm sure.
No. How much time have we got?
Oh, on this one, we can do up to 45 minutes, but I don't want to keep you guys too late. I mean, but we can.
Oh no.
But yeah, I mean,
Okay.
when it comes to music, as far as I mean, of course, you guys have the experience, throughout the years. I mean, playing. But I mean, what's an inspirational band that you kind of even go back to now to listen to? Whether it's an older band, something that maybe it's not even related to what you guys are doing, but I mean, we'll start with you, sir, up there.
I think
To me.
in terms of like the core of Vampyra,
Yeah.
it would be bands like Misfits and Murder Dolls, and obviously Misfits being the biggest one. And even ones like the Sex Pistols and the Clash, like the British punk bands, in a way, they sort of feel like kind of bring that, and even the modern, like the punk rock bands, like Sum 41, Blink, Green Day, just all those sort of bands.
Green Day.
That
That will go longer than 45 minutes.
Touch me.
Just like sort of the
Touch me.
just like when I look at the like those sort of bands, like even when I go back to listening to Misfits, Horror Pops are another one.
Yeah.
Any band that's like sort of horror themed or has like the gothic edge to it and stuff, that I feel like sort of has inspired. That was sort of the idea of Vampyra in the first place, I guess, was like to sort of be like those bands,
right,
in a sense, to be horror themed and have the dark touch. It was all about trying to stand out on what's going on at the time, and I guess we thought that's different. To us, at least, that was different.
No, for sure. And I mean, and I'm asking this because I want to talk about, I mean, as far as how I see you guys. I mean, I've been listening to your music for the past week, and I've got I get a few as far as influences, I guess I would say, because every time I listen to the music, I think of the Germs, I think of the Bajas, I think of bands like from the early 80s, where I'm like, man, this is actually, it's a great sound. I mean, you guys definitely have a great sound, and it's like a throwback, it's like it's like a trance. I'm listening to it while I'm driving, and I forget where I'm going. So luckily, I find my way. But it's great stuff, though, guys. I mean, definitely, you guys are doing a great job. And of course, I mean, to move on, I mean, Dizzy. I mean, when it comes to inspiration, I mean, what are some bands that you listen to? I see the poster.
As regards to my playing style, I'd say my two biggest major influences, Sum 41 and Spider-Bite.
Hey!
You knew it was coming.
Well, I mean, to be fair, those two bands were probably my biggest influences. Like Spider-Bite completely introduced me to the local scene. If it weren't for them, I probably wouldn't be hanging out down Pike Hollow Cone. Never stumbled upon this. And Sum 41 was probably the main band that got me into music. Like, because as soon as I started listening to them, I started going down like the metal route, and I started going over to punk, and then I just like Anthrax, Iron Maiden. Now I like Crash Diet and all that, so I'm playing more sleaze, like that type of thing. So as a bass player, pretty much those two are like the fundamental of my bass playing.
Well, great, man. I mean, and of course, I was looking at the posters behind you, so I said it's got to be those bands, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, going on, I mean, Ingrid.
Is that Sum 41 Mirror?
It is.
Yeah.
What?
No, wait, let me move my mic. It's
on a mirror. It looks like a mirror.
No, it's a poster. I made it myself.
Nice.
Oh, I thought it was a mirror.
You won't run my Sum 41 merch in my bedroom.
It looks very shiny.
Than 45 minutes again, huh?
It's like sticker on the mirror, isn't it?
Yes.
Or do you just polish your walls?
That's pretty creative, though. I like it.
I have too much time.
And Ingrid, I mean, when it comes to you, what's that inspiration? What bands that you listen to that kind of influence your music now?
Oh gosh.
Ooh,
Who wants to take this one?
I'm sorry? Yes, Ingrid.
I'm just a drummer.
We're gonna have to write another book now.
I mean, because Callum's been writing most of the songs, but I've been writing a couple of songs myself. In terms of influence, I don't know, because it's just so much that I listen to that, like the songs I try to write are kind of like this horrible mishmash of different things. But if I go back to the the influences thing, I'd say I think the Damned would have to be on top of my influences in terms of blending that sort of that punk kind of sound with a more gothic kind of aesthetic. Because I've always loved like the clash, not the band, the clash, but the clash between Captain Sensible and David Vainan, because like what that Captain Sensible looks really silly, with his fluffy kind of jumpers, and like Dave Vainan will just look really slick with his hair and his his glasses and his leather jacket and all that. And I did like I like the fact that it's just, I don't know, it's just like these two completely different aesthetics just working so well together. And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to capture with Vampyra, sort of like chaos of punk with kind of like the sort of the vibe, the gothic vibe, like horror imagery and stuff like that.
No, and I was going to say too, because earlier you were saying that you kind of mesh up a whole lot of everything. So it's basically putting everything together and just making sense of it, right? I mean, putting it to
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can definitely respect that, because like I said, I mean, I've been listening to y'all's music, this whole past week. This morning I was driving to work and I threw it on. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me jam out while I'm getting out there. And I mean, I get great vibes. It's some great stuff. I mean, when it comes to the lyrics, I mean, does everybody partake on that, or is that just one person?
It's mainly been me, but lately, as Ingrid's pointed out, she's been coming up with some stuff as well. We're trying to like sort of like not have myself do it all the time, which is something, because like you get a lot of people where you see him like being like, oh, he's the only writer, and they made themselves the only writer, and it's like, no, you want everybody to come up with material for you and stuff like that. Nice. So the stuff we've got, it's been mainly me at the moment, but we have been trying to broaden it a little bit.
Yeah.
No, and I was gonna say, because I talked to a lot of indie filmmakers, and a lot of them they always say, like, when they write a movie, or when they're writing something, they always they start with one thing and then they just go from there. I mean, it's just like, okay, let's make sense of this. Where's it going? What is it about? Is it the same thing with yourself when it comes to writing?
Well, I will say this: there have been times we've had the odd song that, like how a lot of great songs are written, I guess. It's like one person has an idea and the next person's like, oh, all right, we'll put this with it. And, oh, have you got something? Yeah, we'll put that with it. So it's just sort of like the way it works really is like you either come in with a song or a bit of the song and see if you can put it together, or you come on with nothing and just see what pops up,
Nice,
see what comes out.
And I was curious about that. Does it take like one, whether it's the drummer, the bassist, the guitar, is it one person that starts playing all the time and then everybody follows, or is it just like, do you ask different people all the time?
That's sort of
been most of it. It's been so you came up with a song which was just like vocals and guitar, and then we just sort of like came up with in the rehearsal studio, we just sort of like came up with the arrangement on the spot. It's like, okay, I'm going to put a little bit of drums here. Let's have a bit of bass that goes like this here and all that. But we've been trying different approaches. We've been trying to like do demos and like, using Guitar Pro and stuff like this, so that we're just, everything's a bit more fleshed out, so that we can work on something a bit more elaborate.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like it's great to jam in the studio, but then it's like, I feel like it kind of limits sort of like what you can do with an arrangement. So I kind of like to be able to just like sit down and just try to work out, okay, let's try something a little bit more complex. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. And of course, I mean, when it comes to music, I mean, I think you had mentioned earlier, you guys actually played a gig yesterday. So is that something that, individually, like, that you guys get used to? I mean, like, okay, we got to play tomorrow, have you guys gotten used to that already?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, what was the question?
Oh, like getting used to just playing gigs. I mean, because I know, and the reason I'm asking is because I have a lot of friends that do combat sports. And my question, I always ask them, I'm like, man, do you ever wake up and think, man, I don't want to do this today? When it comes to fighting, and they're like, sometimes they do, and sometimes it's like, man, let me go get paid, but when it comes to musicians, I was just curious, do you guys wake up and think like, damn, okay, I got to perform tonight? I'm just curious to see how you
know.
guys go over that obstacle if you do.
Definitely, I allowed myself to go down that path in the past, and it's the reason why I'm no longer in certain bands. And okay, I'm getting a bit like a bit too real here, but yeah, I did talking about depression and stuff like this. It's I did get to a point where I just got so tired of losing things, like bands because I've allowed myself to, not if I don't want to do this, I'm not gonna do it.
Be the big sad.
But yeah, I know. So
The big sad.
so now I just try to change that approach. I try to be more like, okay, I have to do it. It doesn't matter how I feel. I just got to do it.
No,
And if you do it, then you forget that you didn't want to do it. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. I mean, like, there's been times where I've woken up and been like, oh, I don't really want to do this. But then as soon as I start doing it, I'm like, yeah, no, this is exactly what I'm meant to do.
Nice.
When you talk, I don't know whether to look at you on the screen or like in person.
For
Most of you on the screen, but
I'm here.
with me at least, it's like it's not necessarily like just. Well, it's more after the gig, really. Like, I sort of get a feeling of like, I'm exhausted after each show and stuff like that. But there have been times where I'm sort of in one spot and think to myself, what the hell did I used to do before all this? It's a weird thing to think, I know, but it's just like one of those things. It's like, what would you be doing if you weren't doing this? You know? What else would you do?
Oh yeah, I ask myself every weekend, man. If I'm not out there doing something, I'm like, man, what do people do on their days off, man? I don't know, but I'm afraid to find out. Dizzy, what about yourself? I mean, when it comes to a bad day, you just decide to go ahead and go out there and rock out.
I feel like it's the opposite for me. Like, if I've had a rough week and I'm like, yeah, I've got a gig at the end of this week, like it cheers me up. I don't think I've ever not wanted to play a gig. I mean, like afterwards, like, yeah, okay, and I have to go back to like real world of I have to get up in like 4 hours. Like, it's just like, okay, well, I don't think I've ever not wanted to, when I've played college gigs where I've been like, I don't want to do this. But like in respect to like bands that I've played with outside of that type of thing, where it's like been what I wanted to do. Yeah. I don't think I've ever not wanted to do it. It's like been the thing that makes me want to like just focus on that for a week instead of drowning on like my old job and all that. So
yeah, you said I never thought about that, but yeah, I definitely look forward to the weekend because I mean, they're Monday through Friday. I'm like everybody else, I'm out there grinding and doing work, right, doing a adult life. But of course, I mean, because you guys have only played as far as gigs in the UK. Is there one band that has came through that or maybe that's coming through like later this year or next year that you guys would like to play with?
Yes, the Zombie Killers.
Yeah,
big time, big time. I have seen them a couple of times. They are making great waves around Kent, and I absolutely 100% want to tour with those guys. Absolutely, and I keep every opportunity I get. I am not leaving them alone until we get to do that tour. Absolutely not.
One group, one act I'd love us to do just a gig with, let alone a tour, is Pretty Addicted. They would be awesome to do a gig with.
Nice, man. No, yeah, and then as far as Dizzy, I mean, anybody out there you wouldn't mind playing with?
I'll play
Some 41.
Some 41 is
wants to take me out on tour. By all means,
it's
be there. Local. I'd say Drones. I like them a lot. I've seen them. God, how many times? I've seen them a lot. Yeah, I'd say Drones at the moment.
Okay. And Xavier, what about yourself? Anybody out there?
I don't know. I think like just what everybody else has said, but also because Dizzy didn't say it. Spider bite.
I was waiting for someone else to say it other than me.
Waiting for that as well, yeah. I was surprised she didn't say that.
So am I. This is why I.
I was going for a less obvious answer.
There you go.
That's
There you go.
obvious.
Also, I really like drones, so I want to play with drones. I've said that to Matt before, or Travion.
That.
Travion's here as well.
Nice. And of course, I mean, because you guys right now actually have music under a record label. I mean, this is one that I actually touched base with and doing great things. They have a lot of great bands under their banner, which is awesome. So, I mean, of course, for them to work something to where they would be able to get a lot of the bands to maybe even tour together. I mean, has that been possible? Or is that maybe possible later?
I sure hope so. I sure hope.
Amazing.
Yeah, because I keep seeing them out there, and they have a lot of great outfits out there.
Yeah,
Pretty
because
cool.
we've actually since we got signed, we actually checked out some of the bands on that label, and they are pretty good.
No, yes.
No, that reminded me of another band that I wanted to like play a show with, South of Salem. I think they were on one of the horror punk like.
I think they're on the label. I think.
I don't know if they're on the label. I know they're on one of the compilation albums. I saw them at Made of Stone, and like I've been meaning to see them for a long time, and I was like, damn. They remind me of Wednesday 13 at points, mixed with like I don't know, like something like Black Veil Brides or something, like the guitar tone. They were on like one of the compilation albums. I've been meaning to see them for a long time. That's a band I want to play with.
Nice.
Well, there we go then. There's one band to put on the bill.
Let's go. Put them on there, man. And of course, I'm curious because, of course, Ingrid and yourself, man. I mean, you guys actually play other instruments, but when it comes to the rest of the band, does anybody else do dual? I mean, Dizzy, do you play anything else?
A little. I play guitar.
Being modest.
Guitar. I can. I can noodle around on other instruments like piano. Yeah. I can noodle around with. I'm not really that interested in it, and I was like whacking drums, I guess. I play guitar and bass mainly.
Okay. And of course, I mean, Ingrid, I mean, you've already said you played bass. I mean, of course, you're on drums. Any other instrument that you're involved with?
Guitar, the mandolin.
Everything.
I was. Shut up. I can't play piano to save my life. I just. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like
piano then.
I mean, I play the mandolin, but it feels like cheating because it's just like if you can play guitar, you can play mandolin.
Oh,
you know.
They're two different instruments.
Yeah,
they are.
I can't play a mandolin.
Oh, it's easy. But yeah, no, I did. I played the violin for a while, but
I used to play the violin.
It just but it's such an uncomfortable instrument, and it's just squealing in your ear all the time. So you're like, I can't handle this anymore, so I give up.
Yeah, same.
And Xavier, what about yourself?
I just sing. I'm really boring, and I just sing. I have tried to teach myself guitar, but I'm not very good at sticking with it. So at the moment, it's just singing for me.
Oh, okay. And of course, sir. I mean, you have up there guitarists and vocalists, but anything else you dwindle with?
Well, I'll put it this way: I have a large collection of instruments, a lot of guitars, a drum kit. I have a mandolin, a ukulele, one of those.
Oh, nice.
I gave my ukulele away.
A violin that's dust at the moment, but in terms of like what I'd actually pick up and play, I try and dabble with it. I mean, the idea of it is like I like to be more than just one thing, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm a guitarist, but I also have a collection of synthesizers and drum machines and all little things like that. And yeah, just little things you collect over time and all that. And synthesizers are a lot of fun. as many will tell you. And
I'm just trying not to.
Yeah.
so yeah, I think really the real question to ask me is that what can't I play, or what haven't I tried learning to play?
No, definitely, man. And then the reason I'm asking is how unreal would it be for you guys to switch places one day? Like, would that
That would be
be?
so exciting.
It'd be possible.
Would it be? I mean, I'm just curious because if you guys decide to go one day and be okay, you know what, we're gonna put you on drums, we're gonna put you on just switch it up and then see what comes out, man. I think that'd be pretty
And
cool.
what we should
Easy,
do,
easy.
you know what we should do, like midway through a gig, is just you three swap instruments like midway through a gig. That would be funny.
No, but
That would be good.
actually, I've had that idea as well. But yeah.
We should
No, well,
so
it's funny
do
because
that.
like the other day we had a rehearsal that that Callum was unfortunately unable to attend, so I brought my guitar with me and we sort of alternated between the drums and the guitar, so we could just sort of like break down certain parts and
Yeah.
and it's like it's interesting because obviously I'm not the guitarist or the bass player in this band, and but I do know all the songs on the guitar and the bass because out of necessity if we're doing like a demo or something.
So if
and,
someone's sick and can't make it to the gig,
Yeah.
you just do both.
well, no, I'm not good.
You see,
I'm
and
not-
the reason I'm asking is because
but yeah.
throughout the years, I've gone to a lot of shows, a lot of and a lot of times it happens where one band member can make it, and so somebody else kind of jumps in and they just play that night, But I mean, it's happened before. I was just curious to see if you guys would be able to pull it off and just keep going, one night.
It's possible. Whether it be a one-off or an actual thing.
I mean,
no, for sure. No, I hope it doesn't happen. I mean, of course, you guys keep playing, but I mean, when it comes to as far as gigs, once again, like, what is one gig that stands out the most? I mean, whether it's one night that you guys played, and we'll start from the top down, sir.
Well, I can tell you one gig we've done so far that is my least favorite, at least. And that's one gig we did at this pub called the Alexander, and
oh, I know why.
And the only reason for that was because we got cut short.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's because we got cut short. But in terms, realistically, I think the gigs we're doing at the moment, like the one we did yesterday, the one we did at the Poco, and the gigs we're doing at the moment, I think are getting good. Are probably the best ones we've done so far.
Okay, cool, man. And Dizzy, what about yourself?
I'd say last night was pretty good. Poco Loco. Poco Loco it's between last night and Poco Loco. I mean, I absolutely destroyed everything at that Poco gig, and I mean everything.
Broke and injured so many people.
And myself.
Yeah, and herself.
Me. You injured me.
I don't mean to. It's not my fault you're tall.
I don't know how.
No, I absolutely destroyed everything at Poco. That was an expensive gig for me.
Wow. Yeah, that's never good though, man, because the instruments do cost quite a bit. But of course,
intentional. It was just like wireless.
Oh, right. No, Dizzy's she's got an infinite supply of kidneys, don't you?
Yeah.
Huh?
You've got an infinite supply of kidneys.
Yes, I sell them to buy new instruments.
Evil Dick broken.
And once again, I mean, we'll keep going down. Xavier, as far as one gig that stands out the most for you.
My absolute favorite gig that we've done. Bear in mind, I've only been gigging since like 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Would definitely have to be the Poco Loco one that we did. That's like a month and a half, 2 months ago now or something.
Oh, just a month.
A month? Oh god, I've got no concept of time. but it was definitely my favorite. It was the biggest crowd that I have ever sung in front of, and I've been singing since I was 14, so I get like 5 years now, and it was just absolutely incredible to have people just like screaming at me and stuff.
Well, people
You
scream
find
at me all the time, but because I'm a good musician. Or
Yeah, but
anything.
like in a good way. People were screaming
Oh,
at me.
yeah.
I think it was. I couldn't really tell.
You can find clips of it on our YouTube channel of that actual gig.
Yeah.
There's clips of it, yeah.
And
Yeah.
going down, Ingrid, is there one show that you like or don't like that stands out the most?
I think out of the best ones we've done, I mean, I think last night topped the Poco gig we did last month. Tops it very slightly.
Why
Yeah,
is
but
that?
both
Because people
those
spilt
two.
my beer.
I don't notice that shit.
I
You know,
noticed.
there's a lot of stuff that happens at gigs that I don't know. I
You're
don't.
oblivious to.
There's a lot of the stuff that happens. A lot of the shenanigans. I don't notice it. I don't find out about it until I see the videos afterwards.
Did you
Like
notice
for
the
instance,
mosh pit?
yeah,
Yeah.
but I did not notice that like that Dizzy actually ran around the entire pub
Dude,
until I
didn't
saw the
notice
video.
either.
afterwards.
I
Yeah.
didn't notice until I saw the video
That's
either.
how-
And I was like, what?
That's how chaotic it gets, you know. You just don't notice a lot of the stuff. It's
Yeah,
like,
I was like, what's going
Mm.
on?
especially like the Poco gig, especially because it was like where I was sitting, you know, with the lights, and it
The
just
lights.
I just saw this
Okay.
sheet of darkness. All I can see is just like the first row of people, and that's it. Everything behind that doesn't exist as far as I can see, you know. So
The
No,
problems of
no, for
being
sure.
I know, I hate it. I hate being tied down. This is why I like the idea of swapping instruments mid-set, so
I
that
think
I
that
can,
would be so
so that
fun.
I can get a good like 30 seconds to run around
You
myself.
get like 30
you know?
seconds to stand up.
Mm. So, yeah.
And of course, I mean, you mentioned YouTube because I mean, when it comes to music, you guys actually have a couple of links out there that people can listen to you guys on.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's YouTube, Spotify, and I know I had it earlier, but where else can people find you guys on?
Amazon Music, iTunes.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we
Basically
make.
all the box streaming services,
All of them, yeah.
you know.
Basically.
Yeah. Oh, because you know that's what you if you use DistroKid, they'll put everything on everything. You know, they put it all on everything. So, am I saying everything a lot?
You are, yeah.
There's probably
Yes,
some stream
use
sites
everything like
no
I
one's
use
ever
the
heard
show.
of that got our stuff on there.
And of course, being the record label. Because, yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was just gonna say, I mean, when it comes to the record label, because obviously they're doing a great thing. But when it comes to networking, I mean, you guys do network a lot. I mean, I know you guys are on Instagram, on Facebook. Are you guys on any other social media outlets?
We're on TikTok, and yeah, we're on TikTok and yeah, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're working on getting like more accounts, so to speak. We're working on more ways.
Oh, yeah, and I think for the most part, I mean, TikTok and Instagram would probably be like the top two. You know, Facebook is great. You know, it's still out there, but I mean, when it comes to like Threads or X or whatever they call it now, like it's died down pretty bad. You know, there's not much action going out there. But yeah, you know, but I mean, when it comes to outlets, of course, you want to be out there as much as possible. So it would make sense to definitely pick up a few more. Merchandise. Where can people get the merchandise at? When it comes to shirts or patches, stickers.
Oh, yeah. We're always looking for new ways to sort of expand because I mean, being on the band is fun, but at some point you do have to start thinking like a business, you know, to sort of like expand your reach. And I think that we've definitely been taking this step recently with the merchandise, trying to work out our budget, and we've actually been making a bit of a profit, which is nice. And
we're only doing merch at gigs at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, but obviously we want to be able to figure out ways to sell the merch outside of gigs. You know, like we're hiding in an alleyway, say, "Hey, you want to say?"
Be like a drug dealer.
What a bag!
Yeah, your coat jacket. And believe it or not, I used to distribute music here in San Antonio. I actually had 5 labels that would send me vinyl, like back in 95, 96. And I would go to these gigs and I would sell out a trunk. I would just pop my trunk and I'm like, okay, I got vinyl, man. What do y'all want? You know, and I mean, it was a hustle, but I used to sell everything while I was out there. So it's definitely possible.
Yeah, nothing.
And I know when
that,
it comes to social media, I know it might be hard for you guys to actually play live because of the sound and the speakers and everything kind of. But have you guys ever gone live while on like on a studio or rehearsal, like actually playing for the
We
crowd?
did one live video. It was with the old lineup of ours.
Oh, okay.
That was at New Cross Inn in London, and you could hear us, but all you could hear is like a and yeah, so you could hear us, but it just wasn't. It didn't sound great.
No, that's what I was curious about because of course, like you mentioned, I mean, when it comes to followers or just getting content out there, it'd be nice to, play a quick song here and there just to kind of get some content out there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we definitely need to put out more content, and I think that we should start like recording clips in the studio and rehearsals and stuff like that, so we can get a little bit more than just like gigs to put out there at the moment.
Yeah, definitely get to that part. We'll definitely get to it and stuff. Just like this, yeah.
And now let me ask you this, because I've actually had some bands of past that have done this before here. If you guys had to play acoustic, how do you guys think you would do?
I'd be down for that.
I'm so down for that because when I first joined the band, we went over the songs acoustically, so I could
we did.
get them back. Because all of the songs were written before I joined the band, so I wanted to hear them like what they actually sounded like and what I was supposed to be doing. And I think that most of our songs would sound really good acoustic, and I think that it's at least something we should consider.
I definitely want to hear an acoustic version of, "Ain't No Angel."
That would be interesting.
That'd be interesting.
It'd be like
we need to try rehearsal.
Can make it look like those MTV Unplugged gigs.
Oh, there you go, back in the day. Ooh.
Yeah.
No, I'd be curious to if you guys were to release that, because I know back when, I mean, they do like the live LPs or maybe even a 45 or something where you guys play live and just have a separate recording. But I mean, do you guys think that would be possible? Maybe even towards the end of the year next year. Do like an acoustic set.
I think that would be possible. Maybe, I don't know about when, but such an idea, possibly.
Cool, man. No, for sure. I mean, because you guys have the sound for it. That's why I was curious. Because I mean, I think it would sound great. Just myself, but I mean, I'm sure other people out there wouldn't mind listening to that. And of course, real quick, I mean, when it comes to life outside of music, I mean, I'm sure you guys only get like one day to actually enjoy yourself, right? But what does everybody do outside of music? I mean, what are you guys involved in when it comes to sports or anything?
Work. I work. I just work all the time.
Well, I'm an artist. I've done all the artwork for Vampyra, and I'm trying to like reach out to other bands to try to do their artwork as well. I mean,
okay, cool.
So yeah, I mean, yeah.
And I was the lovely person that got the artwork tattooed on me.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. I'm so invested in this band that I literally have tattoos dedicated to it.
I haven't got a tattoo on my face yet, though.
Well, you know what?
Or mine.
There you go. One on each side.
So,
but
you get a tattoo of my face. We'll see.
but no, I have a day job, which kind of takes up half of everything. This being the other half, obviously, but I'm hoping it'll change at some point. I'm hoping it does.
I'm still in college.
Okay.
It's you'll get out one day. One day you'll.
I'll skate one day.
We'll let you out eventually.
Please free me.
Yeah, no. Outside of music, Dizzy spends most of her time picking fights with security guards.
Yeah.
Dublin Castle didn't want me in there.
They didn't, but you know what? They didn't want me in there either.
They were like, "Get out, you child!"
I have ID.
I know.
And of course, because the fact that you guys are a hard punk band, favorite horror movie, and we'll start from Ingrid. We'll go back up. What's your favorite horror movie?
It's a tough one, but I'd have to say one of the ones I obsessed over the most would have to be Phantom. Well, Phantom of the Opera. I went through a phase where I had to watch every version I could get my hands on, except the Andrew Lloyd Webber version. I tried to watch that. I was like, no, I'm sorry. I know it's the Phantom of the Opera and it's supposed to be in an opera that's supposed to be singing, but I don't want it to be a musical, and I don't want it to be an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. No.
I agree.
So yes, I stopped there. It's like, but the Lon Chaney version was my favorite. It's just like, it's that hands down is my favorite silent movie without a doubt. When it comes to sound movies, obviously it gets a bit trickier. There's a lot more to choose from, and but I went through this phase during college. Well, I was doing a project all based on like horror imagery, films, and I did my own film. I did my own film, which was like a horror kind of parody. And during that time, I just watched so many horror movies, and my favorite ones was like I watched every Phantom of the Opera I could find, and I think my second favorite one, I did like the one with was it Claude Rains? I think the one from the 40s. And there was the Hammer horror one. Those I love those three. They're really nice, you know.
Okay,
and
sweet.
Hunchback of Notre Dame with Lon Chaney. That was another silent movie I really liked. You know, it's just I think it's creepier, the whole like the fact that these old movies, they're just so grainy and it just looks so otherworldly, and the fact that they don't talk, and then a lot of the time the film will be running at the wrong speed, so it just makes it a lot more unsettling. You know, it's just this constant like people staring at you, and they usually have makeup to like emphasize their features, and it just looks so otherworldly. It's just like these people are not human, they're not from our planet, they're from the that kind of stuff, you know. It's like, and then you jump to the Andrew Lloyd Webber Phantom of the Opera, and guy's got like he's got like a little burn on his cheek. It's like, oh no, it's horrifying, you know. Anyway, that's it.
No, I'm enjoying it. Believe me. Xavier, what about yourself? What's your favorite go-to horror movie?
Me personally, I don't actually watch horror films. Don't fire me. No,
you're not.
okay.
You're a child.
Basically,
that's my new thing.
I don't do well with scares, so I don't watch horror films unless I'm with other people. But I am really looking forward to the new Nosferatu film that's coming out on like the 3rd of February or something. I'm very much looking forward to that though.
Nice. And Dizzy, what about yourself?
I'd say of the classic ones, Evil Dead. Favorite horror like bunch, like the series, like series of films. Probably saw. Even though I quite like the new like A Quiet Place and all that. The Quiet Place is good because it's just permanent suspense, the whole thing. And then someone makes a noise and it's like, oh, scary.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just like that, right?
I wouldn't last 2 minutes in A Quiet Place.
And what about yourself, sir? What you got for us?
Oh, very, very long list of favorite horror movies. I mean,
God, no, we don't have time.
I mean, I've watched movies. I've watched like the classics, like Nightmare on Elm Street.
News. Hang on. Okay, keep on going.
Like,
very, very, very long
list. A lot of the classics like Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was my favorite. Like, that used to be like the one film I loved so much. And then it was Halloween. But then there's like some horror movies that not many people know of. Like, I don't want to use the word obscure, but like ones that, you know, if people have even never heard of, or you have to be a diehard horror movie fan to know about. Films like Reanimator, Phantasm, Pumpkinhead, Frankenhooker. was the absolute. That was also
Yeah.
my favorite at one point. The movie Frankenhooker.
Oh yeah, man.
Inspiration.
The
Oh
pic-
no, Tom
Yes,
book.
the book.
Not the book again.
Yes, Cat.
There you go.
This
There you go.
book,
You're reading the
because
book. Everything was
because
up there.
we always, this is always our go-to every
Yeah.
time we try to come up with a new cover idea, you know.
Okay, sweet.
And
but
yeah.
but in terms of like the top,
Look,
if I had to put them in a hand,
Yeah.
if I had to put them in a hand, like my favorite horror movies, it'd be like Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play, Texas Chainsaw Massacre would be on there, and also what else? And the Dead movies, like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and all that would be on there, and just that's a tough one for me to answer, really. I mean,
all those are good though.
Yeah.
You see, like here myself, I mean, I am in San Antonio, right? But I mean, I'm a moderator, so a lot of the times I get to introduce, I head the Q&A for the panels. But like Patty Mullen from Frankenhooker, I mean, I've gotten to meet her, I've gotten to interview her, I've gotten to meet a lot of great people. I was 2 weeks ago, we did the promotion here, did the mini Texas Chainsaw Massacre reunion. So I was there with like the hitchhiker,
Baby Hooper,
the actual actors from the original film, man. So, and Bastrop, Texas, I mean, that's like a mile, but like an hour and a half from here. So that's where Texas Chainsaw Massacre was filmed. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool stuff, man. So I'm all over it. So when it comes to these events, I'm always out there, and when they ask me to do a moderator, I jump on it, man. Great opportunity. But guys, I mean, of course, I definitely want to bring you guys back on here. I mean, I know we got tons of far stories we can plug in, but I want to thank you all for jumping on. And before we wrap this up, anything you want to say? I mean, we'll start, from Ingrid up. I mean, anything you want to tell people out there?
Okay. Well, okay. You probably saw me getting a bit excited just a minute ago. That's because I just got a message from Bob, who runs this venue, and
we love Bob.
Everybody loves
Everyone
Bob.
loves Bob.
Yes, and I feel like I need to say this because he just sent me this nice message. He runs this venue called Club 85, which is it's quite close to. Yes, I've got flyers.
We've got flyers.
We've got flyers right here. So Club 85 is on the threat of being shut down, and they're trying to raise about £2 million, I believe, so they could buy the venue and keep it open. So I think any help we can, we're trying to help as much as possible to spread the word, because it is a lot of money.
It's a lot.
They don't have that kicking around, so
no, I don't think any of us.
So we're trying to help as best as possible. We've got these flyers, we're trying to hand them out.
Nice.
And and the next, actually, I want to say this as well. The next gig we are playing, which will be Don't Die, We Need You.
live.
The gig.
After the gig.
Yeah. The next gig we're playing is going to be in Hertfordshire.
So far away.
I know, but hey. And a lot of the people are going to be there. They're like Club 85 regulars. Yeah. So, and so I just wanted to, put the word out there.
We spread the word about Club 85.
Yes.
No, for sure. I mean, yeah, definitely. We had one closed down in Austin a few months back, and it sucked. That was like one of the go-tos back when, so it hurts, As far as Dizzy, anything you want to say before you wrap this up?
A chance.
I think
you're
I think you're
muted.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, no, I didn't press anything. Save Club 85.
I need to have a kind of.
Okay, what about yourself,
Stop making fun of my texting.
Yeah.
Well, aside from the gig that we got coming up, that I believe Ingrid just mentioned, Save Club 85.
Save Club 85.
Yeah. That's our message for today.
Yeah, sure, man. I mean, I hope you guys do justice, and I hope you guys are able to save it, because, of course, it's a venue. I'm sure it means a lot to the community, the area. But for those watching, of course,
it's where I had my 30th birthday gig, which I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best venues we played. My other band Morgana played there a couple of months ago. It was such a great crowd, and you know, it's just such a great community, and it would be absolutely devastating if we lost that, you know.
No, for sure. I
So yeah,
completely
I'm trying to
understand.
spread the
Believe
word.
me. No, well, for sure. Well, thank you guys. Thank you all for jumping on here. Of course, for those watching, make sure and follow them up. I mean, like they mentioned, they are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, music on Spotify, YouTube. I mean, there's so many other links, but follow them on their social media outlets and follow up. Thank you guys very much. I'm going to be in touch. Don't hang up yet. Everybody out there, of course, once again, this is Spida, Working Class Nobody's Zine. Till next